Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another very, very excited episode of the Real Estate Marketing Dude podcast. And today we are talking about our realtor's worst enemy, the one company that everybody is out and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And I am joined today by the individual, the person behind the entire Stop Zillow movement. And he's gotten more research on this than anyone knows what the hell is going on. So quit reading all the fake news and let's talk about what is really going on with Zillow, because Greg, you're going to tell us directly so that agents could really know what we're up against. This is something I'm passionate about. I don't know where I found you, but I reached out to you just the other day, and I'm like, let's tell the story, man. Let's get out there. So without further ado, Greg, please introduce yourself to our audience. Let everyone know who you are, where you're from, and let's get into like what you're doing. All right.
You bet. Well, first of all, Mike, thanks for having me on the show. It's my absolute pleasure. And my background is now. I'm really hesitant to say this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. This is my 50th year in real estate. You can't possibly. Yeah, I know. I mean, everybody thinks, are you kidding me? Anybody in 50 years in real estate ought to be dead, right?
It's a first for this show, Greg.
Yeah, well, it's a first for about anybody. But I was licensed when I was 18 years old, and I've been in real estate 50 years. I'm also a real estate attorney and trainer and other things. But my background is in first selling real estate, then building real estate brokerages. And so that's my background. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's about 199 degrees right now. And then this Stop Zillow thing was nothing that I ever in my 50 years set out or thought I would ever be doing. Yeah. But it just somehow I got thrust into this, and so here I am on your show.
I could tell you why is your passion behind the industry, and I think you probably see what the hell's really going on behind the scenes. Unfortunately, NAR doesn't, and that's what we're here to have you on today. Is let's start from the beginning. A lot of agents have seen this. I'm on your website right now, and the website, folks, is stopzillow.com. Very easy to get to. But I see you have about 37,651 signatures as of right now. So let's get right to it because we have a lot to cover. What is Stop Zillow? Okay,
so the story is that 45 days, May 31st. So May 31st, depending on when you're looking at this, May 31st, 2017, I put that website up. I built it in a day. It all came from me being just royally ticked off when I heard that Zillow had introduced a program called Instant Offers. Now, I've been familiar with Zillow and studied Zillow for years, but it was when they introduced this program called Instant Offers that I just went off the deep end. And I'm not a real emotional guy. I mean, I'm emotional. I love my family, but I'm a business guy. But still, I thought this is friggin' off the chart, stab in the back to the real estate industry. Here it is, all these years, we support Zillow with our listings. I mean, Zillow would be nothing were it not for our listings. And right away I saw that Instant Offers, while it was portrayed to be a program to help home sellers sell quickly and conveniently, when you really look at it, you have to be an idiot. I mean, no offense for any home sellers that have accepted, but you really have to not have all your marbles there to accept a wholesale offer from an investor, pay an 8 or 9% service fee. I mean, every home I've ever listed, no offense, home sellers, but they always tend to want more than their home's worth. And here, how many people are going to give away to home to one of Zillow's investors? So I see this and I think, nobody's going to really do this. This is just a scheme. This is a disguised strategy to capture home sellers' name and addresses for Zillow to get its fangs in them first, to suck those sellers away from us, the people who empowered Zillow, to suck those sellers away and feed them off to agents who pay Zillow for leads. So I went into GoDaddy and I think, what's there? I got to put up something just objecting to this. And I check and I try Stop Zillow and $8.47. It's there. I thought, well, boy, if I was them, I would have protected that sucker a long time ago. So I buy stopzillow.com. I have my website company. I write all the copy, have my website company throw it up. And here we are, 40 some days later, and we have 37,000 signatures. And by the way, what you don't see is that website, as of last night, had 280,000 views. It's being viewed by consumers all over the world. There was an article just appeared in the Top Agent magazine in Europe, in the UK, talking about it. I mean, this is right now the hottest topic in real estate. And Mike, it should be.
It should, and I could tell you just the traffic I see on my own blog is a lot of it is Stop Zillow, just on some social shares I made. And I read your emails that you send because they're good and they actually have good content in them. That's actually when I reached out to you. But so did you like? You've always seen a problem with Zillow, I'm going to assume, right? So
yes.
We created Zillow. We created this monster, and we continue to pay for it. So let's go through this instant offers program first, just so the agents listening to this understand what it truly is. So let's dissect what it is. Now, if and I just got off the phone with somebody she does like $50 million a year, and she had no idea about Stop Zillow. She didn't even know what Zillow Instant Offers was. So believe it or not, there are a lot of agents still out there. I know you're in the you're in the front lines of this. You're seeing this every day, I'm sure. You're getting all kinds of content and messages to you. But there's a lot of agents who don't know what it is. So let's go through what Instant Offers is. And Zillow came out with a brand new program to catch everyone up to speed, and it's called Instant Offers. And in a nutshell, they're trying to what they want to do is reach sellers before you do, agents. Right. Okay? And then they want to sell those leads back to the seller, back to agents who are paying for the zip codes. Okay. So part of the reason, and here's what agents have to realize. Like, I just wrote a blog post last week on this, and I was like, our job is no longer to find people houses to sell, because they go on Zillow and they tell me what houses they want to see now. Right. We're no longer doing it. Our job has become nothing more than to analyze whether that's a wise or not so wise buying decision. Correct. We're more of an analyzation. We're like a financial planner, but for real estate. So with, this instant offers program, on how you're describing it, this is actually not the best thing for the seller in the world. All right. I want to dissect what instant offers is, because we really have to get this point out there so that more people can sign on to your petition here. All right.
Yeah.
So instant offers, here's one thing you just mentioned. Zillow will charge. So let's say I want to sell my house through instant offers as a homeowner. Are you telling me that Zillow is going to charge me 8 to 9% basically commission in the disguise of a service fee?
No, actually, it's the investors that charge the 8 to 9%. Zillow has no charge in the transaction, and the reason Zillow has no charge is if they did, they would clearly, in my opinion, be in violation of the brokerage licensing laws in the two states in which they're operating. So they are, in my view, they're still doing brokerage. And I believe I read in Inman that it was either in Nevada or Florida that they are being investigated by one of the state licensing authority, because clearly they are connecting. Typically what do we do as realtors? We connect, we list homes and try to find buyers.
Right.
So we have the homes and try to find the buyers. Well, what Zillow does is it lined up 15 buyers and it's just trying to find the sellers. So call it reverse brokerage. Yeah. And they're trying to say, well, we don't need a license because we're not charging a commission to anyone. Well, the bottom line is they are being paid. They're being paid by the agents who they're feeding the leads to. So they are being compensated. It's just not directly from the buyer or seller. But in answer to your question, that 8 to 9% service fee goes to the investor who buys the home, not to Zillow.
Holy shit. So the investor, so if I buy a house for $200,000 and I get it through instant offers, I'm really paying $216,000 to $218,000 for that property because of the service fee?
No, if you sell a home on instant offers, you're getting whatever the offered price is, which is generally going to be a wholesale price, less that 8 or 9%.
Got it. Okay. Now, have you seen sort of the back end communications of what's really happening here? Because, and folks, if you don't realize this, Zillow only exists because we've given them the MLS data and then we allow them to sell it back to us. And because realtors in general and are such bad marketers and can't generate their own business, a lot of them, they have to rely on companies like Zillow to create it for them. But the difference that we're doing here, and this stood out to me very much on your email, and I didn't know this. The co-founder of Zillow was the same guy who came out with Expedia.
Rich Barton, absolutely. I mean, come on, guys. Do you see where this is headed? He extinguishes the travel agents.
Let's break this down. All right. All right. So when I saw that, it was actually right when I actually inclined me to reach out and be like, hey, Greg, you want to do a podcast on this? So the co-founder of Zillow is the guy who basically put travel agents out of business, okay? The guy who created Expedia. And if we, you can't make this shit up. Like, if we look at what happened with Expedia, what was it, like the 90s that came out? Late 90s? When did Expedia even come out?
I honestly don't know. All I know is that after it did, it wasn't too long until travel agents were out looking for jobs.
Yeah, and Zillow's, do you feel like Zillow, they're taking that same business model, essentially, different industry, same concept?
I would bet the farm, and I've been in real estate a long time, had a fair amount of success, so I've got a reasonably big farm. I would bet the farm that behind closed doors, Zillow doesn't think real estate agents are worth a hoot, other than those who will end up someday working for Zillow. Right now, real estate agents are paying Zillow for business. And this is just my opinion. I believe that the long-term plan is a Zillow Realty plan where you're working for Zillow, doing what Zillow says. And you see, here's the deal. We've empowered Zillow with our listings to attract buyers. There's no question Zillow is the go-to website for buyers. That's because of us. Zillow has recognized that its Achilles heel, that its vulnerability is us. We could pull our listings any day, and if we do, Zillow is dead. It realizes that, have to. That's what instant offers, in my view, is all about. They thought, oh my God, we got to protect our turf. We're a $9 billion publicly traded corporation, and if the realtors get ticked off and pull off and go somewhere else, we're screwed. And so my view is that instant offers being tested in Orlando and Las Vegas, and look at the uproar it's caused, and it's only in 2 markets. They are just getting ready to roll this out nationally. And when they do, let me ask you listening to this podcast, you're a home seller out there. It's all over radio and television. Hey, thinking about selling your home? See what your instant offer is. Convenient, quick. Go to Zillow, get your instant offer to sell and close whenever you like. Right. You're probably going to do it. Yep. You're not going to take it, but you're going to do it. That allows Zillow to get to home sellers before we, the real estate industry, does, and defeat it to the agents who pay Zillow for leads. That, in my view, is what this is all about. And I'll tell you, Mike, if we don't rally, come together, put together every day we compete and we all have our agendas, we better put that aside. We better pretend the aliens have landed. If the aliens land, we all get together and say, the heck with all these other things, we're going to join together and beat the aliens. We better get together like the aliens landed, if you ask me, and figure out a way to beat Zillow. And I think I've got a good plan in that regard.
I'm interested to hear it. Maybe you could share it today. Maybe you can't. We'll see. But, all right. Wow. So we've created a monster. Now, recently there's been some news. Redfin just got their IPO and went public with a similar type program.
Redfin now.
Redfin now. That just happened, this week, was it? Or last week?
Last week. This week just happened in the last 10 days, yes.
So what's the difference between what they're doing? Because you mentioned that they're trying to become a brokerage, but Redfin already is a brokerage. And there's 2 different alternatives here. I mean, 2 different little spins on it, but is the concept pretty similar on what they're doing? And I agree with you. I think that the management of both don't really think that realtors are worth the license that the paper their license is written on, right? In general. And they're absolutely squeezing, and yes, it is competition. So how can other realtors, what do realtors do? We talk about this a lot, but I'm curious to see your answers. What are realtors going to do? We're going to go through what we could do to fight back, but what can realtors do to compete against these type of situations? Because here's what I think is the biggest problem is educating the general public, buyers and sellers today, that just because a realtor is not involved in a transaction, are they really saving money on commissions, right? That's the smoke and mirrors right there, because you're like, oh, I don't have to pay an agent. You save 6%. No. The challenge is going to be re-educating the public, because I think you're right. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see, get an offer right now, save on commissions, ditch the agent. It's going to come across like they're saving money, but really they're selling it too low. Do you agree with that?
100%. And let me go back to the reference between instant offers and Redfin Now and companies like, I don't know if your listeners are aware of them, like OfferPad and Open Door, and HomeVestors is the oldie, We Buy Ugly Homes, and now they've got a We Buy Ugly Mansions division, kind of a thing where they buy more expensive ones. So let me make a distinction. The Redfin is, as everyone knows, a real estate firm. Zillow is not. OfferPad, Open Door, these are firms. I don't like their model, but I believe firmly that they have a right to go out and try to make that model work, and we need to be smart enough, and I'll talk about that in a minute, to compete against those buy now models. We need to be smart enough to compete against them and win over them, to in my view, save entrepreneurism in real estate. The big beef I have with instant offers is I have no beef with Redfin Now. Redfin's a smart company. I don't agree with their model. I don't like the salaried agent component, but I hand it to those guys. They've got a rocking website. They've done a good job of developing a good model. They've gotten another $100 million in this IPO they're working on. So my hat's off. They're
a brokerage.
They're a brokerage. They're smart, and they deserve to try whatever model they want. Here's my problem with Zillow. Zillow, a whole different deal. If you read Huffington Post article I wrote about 3 weeks ago called Realtors Fight Back Against Zillow, just Google Greg Hague, Huffington Post. I talk about how Zillow has broken its promise to us. See, the big difference between a Zillow and a Redfin is Redfin make no promise to us. Redfin, when they went into business, their job was to build their business and try to beat us. That's okay. Fair enough. I get that. But big difference. Zillow, we empowered them. They said, if you, the real estate industry, will give us your listings, we will create a platform to help you sell those listings. We will never compete with you. And if you go to my Huffington Post article, I even reference and give you a link to the place in Zillow's website where they said it. It's right there in writing. And so, you see, Zillow has broken its promise. They backstabbed us, with what they've done with instant offers, and that's why I launched Stop Zillow. I would not launch a Stop Redfin. Redfin, go for it. I believe that your model is not as good as what, let's say, we're doing, the entrepreneurial realtor, but guess what? Only time will tell. But Zillow is out of line, broken its promise. We've empowered them. They promised us they wouldn't compete, and when you go out and start taking our listings away, the very thing that empowered you, that is competing, and that's why we need to stop Zillow. It's not right what they're doing, Mike.
So totally makes sense. And just put an analogy for our listeners, it's sort of like the airline industry, right? Spirit Airlines offers the cheapest flights. They're still an airline. You can still get from point A to point C and spend less money, but the airplane's not as nice. The experience isn't as nice, right? But that's the choice that consumers get. Competition makes us better. It makes our industry better. It makes us evolve, and it makes us learn new skills. So yeah, I totally agree. And thanks for clarifying that, because I also have seen a lot of chatter in social groups recently about why everyone was complaining about Zillow, Redfin did this. And I think that was a very good explanation on why we shouldn't be upset about that.
We should figure out how to compete against it.
Yes.
Zillow Redfin didn't stab us in the back. Redfin is a competitive business model, and so we just need to be smart enough to compete. That's all.
So walk me through where you think. This is interesting. I don't remember all 10 points. So I get an article that's shared the other day from National Association of Realtors, right? I don't know if you read this article or not, but NAR comes out with this article that says the 10 largest threats to the real estate industry.
Oh my God.
Right? I was about to shit myself. I was like, oh my God. Number 10 was global warming.
Global warming. Yeah. Global warming. They don't mention Zillow, but they mention global warming.
That's my whole point.
Who is writing this stuff? Are you kidding me? Global warming?
Where is NAR at? Like, what is NAR doing? Like, NAR is, you know what? I'm not like this big lobby guy or anything like that, but what is NAR supposed to be doing for realtors? Because typically when there's a lobbying group, their job is to protect the interest of the overall, union or board or group they represent, right?
Yeah.
So what the hell is NAR doing? Like, I agree with everything you're saying. I think it's a threat. I talked to a lot of people in the industry, and yeah, they're trying to throw realtors under the bus by devaluing them with simplification through online portal search, right? So what has NAR reached out? Is NAR anyone from NAR one of the 38,000 signatures you have, or is anyone reached out to Greg Hague and been like, hey, Greg, you're making some waves here, cool down, or what can we do to help and get behind this? Has anyone even attempted that?
Well, first of all, NAR's official position when this came out, within days when this thing exploded and I launched Stop Zillow, NAR put out an official position, and that was something along the lines of, and I'm not even going to ding on it, they said, look, we understand the frustration that realtors have with Zillow, but from an antitrust standpoint, we don't feel like we can orchestrate a boycott of Zillow. We can't suggest to the real estate industry that you favor or disfavor any one company. Now, that may or may not be true. I actually did a video, because I am an attorney, on antitrust and First Amendment and what one can and can't do. Clearly, what that did is cause some realtors, Mike, to have concern, oh my gosh, if I sign this petition, could I possibly be violation of antitrust? And the answer is totally no. It's a petition. There's a First Amendment right to say and express your opinion in whatever way you want. And so I'm going to cover two areas. Number one is this antitrust thing. If NAR or even I said to all the realtors out there, let's get together and together let's boycott Zillow, then that would probably be in violation of antitrust laws, because I would be aggregating a group of people for competitive advantage to boycott a certain company. And clearly NAR should not do that either. So I'm in agreement with that there. However, if you look at Stop Zillow and the way I wrote the petition, I was very careful. I never suggested that in any way, shape, or form. I simply suggested that NAR go to Zillow and say, there's a lot of ticked off realtors out there. Look at this petition. It's growing. They're ticked. They're going to pull their listings, and a lot of them have, and a lot of them are individually, of their own volition. They're going to start pulling their listings. They're going to pull back their advertising, and you better get your act together, or you're going to end up with a $9 billion company that isn't worth 9 cents. That's what I have asked NAR to do, is to simply, in an official capacity, representing the people who pay it $200 million a year. $200 million a year in dues. Where does that money go? Our biggest threat, hands down, without a question, isn't global warming. It is Zillow, and they ought to be using some of that money to hire the attorneys to properly position themselves to get in Zillow's face. Now, I'm just going to finish by saying, probably that's not going to happen. And if we're going, I'm not even going to ding NAR. If we're going to pin our hopes on NAR saving us, then you might as well just go find a job, because that isn't going to happen. The way we're going to save ourselves is by building an alternative to Zillow. We need a realtor-owned, realtor-managed alternative to Zillow. We need something where we can own it, we can run it. It should have been Realtor.com, but NAR sold Realtor.com to Rupert Murdoch for $950 million, so we have no control over that. So we need to do our own. So this whole thing I just put up because I'm a busy guy. I've got a nice life. I put it up because I was ticked at Zillow, but what this has turned into, and now I've got hundreds, thousands of people, including some of the most...
Full-time job for you.
Yeah, full. It's till midnight. It's from 6 in the morning till midnight. My staff is handling everything else. I don't do any more training or coaching. I don't have time for it, because I believe that right now, if we don't draw a line in the sand and we don't do something positive, if we don't build an alternative to Zillow and take Zillow down, then Zillow will own us in 36 months. And I'll just finish with one other thing. I can talk to you as much about it as you want. We're doing it. I'm already talking to a securities attorney. I want every realtor in the country not to have the obligation, but to have the option to be an owner. We can raise the money. I've already listed all of the parameters this website will have. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be the only website you ever need to sell a listing. It's going to have no pay for leads agents. It's not going to track days on the market, which isn't fair to home sellers because it diminishes the price of a home. It's not going to have records of price reduction. It's going to be the perfect website for doing what Zillow should have done, and that is, if you list a home, It's the only, you're not even going to have to put up a sign. This is going to be so amazing and marketed so heavily. It's going to be the only thing you're going to need to sell a home. That's what we should have had from the beginning.
Realtor listed properties only, not even FSBOs.
Oh, totally, yeah. And of course, Zillow has a place for buy owners. They take our listings to bring traffic to their website, and then they allow buy owners up. These are the kinds of reasons why we just can't put up with Zillow anymore.
Now, why do you say 36 months? What's in your head there? I caught that.
I only believe that at the velocity with which I see this whole iBuyer arena moving, and with Zillow having the power it does, that's just my guess that over the next 12 months, they're going to roll out instant offers nationally. Over the next 12 months, they're going to market the pants off of that thing. And overnight, just like with travel agents, in that second year, which would be 2019, realtors all over this country are going to be saying, oh my God, I'm not getting the listings I used to get. And in that 24 to 36 month, I think realtors are going to be out looking for a job.
Here's one of the problems too that I see. And, if agents, if you guys have noticed that, zip codes weren't that as expensive as they are today. Would you agree on that?
Zip codes with Zillow?
Yeah. They got more pricey. As they've gone on, as the demand came on.
You're saying they're more
pricey than today.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
what they're also, and what I always thought they're trying to do, which is, no fault to them at this, was that, they were trying to find the realtors that had the pockets, because the truth is that you could either convert or not off of Zillow. You could either have a conversation with person or you're not. There's a reason why there's two agents with the same leads. One performs, one doesn't. It's because one's a conversationalist. The other one can't talk to, anybody for that matter. So they can't convert. They can't converse. So I thought they're always dwindling that down to, they're bringing the prices up and working with the teams and or agents that can actually close the deals so that they could end up with X amount of agents per zip, right?
Right.
2 to 3. Now, I always thought that, all right, they're setting them up for their brokerage play, because who do you think is going to take over that zip? Right.
Totally.
For the brokerage, right?
Totally.
So which is genius. Like, it makes sense, right? You can't blame them for that part either if they were going in the marketplace. But I didn't know the promise made that you meant, and now I see the irritation. Now I'm getting irritated about it too. Now here's part of the problem I see too. I'm sure you're in a lot of the Facebook groups, the Lab Coat Agents, a lot of those different Facebook groups, and you see two types of agents, right? One of the agents is like, screw you. They're like you and I, like, screw Zillow, blah, blah, blah. They're all angry and whatnot, right? But then you see the other agent that says, hey, more leads for me, right? Now, that is the problem, essentially. Like, some agents out there don't have a lead source. They've come so dependent on Zillow that if they turn it off, they're screwed.
I understand.
So like, some agents are in that position, and I know a lot of them. I'm friends with some of these guys. And different views on this. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm not turning off my Zillow leads. Like, no way. Zillow's great to me. So what do you have to say to them? Like, what can, I wanted to do this podcast to bring awareness to the issue, right? So what can we tell those agents? Because there's a handful of them out there.
I do, and I've got at least my opinion as to an answer.
Please.
So, first of all, I get that, and I would say these things. Number one, there is no question, you have to know this, that in the long run, if you spend your money building your brand so that people come directly to you rather than to you through Zillow, you are going to be better off. So let's start there. Nobody can doubt that having the brand instead of building Zillow's brand is a safer play for you as a real estate agent. So that's just concept number one. Number two, I get that if you're getting an ROI on Zillow now, if you're spending $1,000 a month and getting $4,000 a month back, I wouldn't even tell you at this moment to stop it. You've got to feed your family. If you got to feed your family and that's the way you're doing it, I don't want you to hurt your family and pull from Zillow. But what I do want you to do is this. Somehow, if you're making an ROI, let's say you're making an average, you're spending $1,000 and bringing in $4,000. That's a $3,000 differential. Take half of that, $1,500 of the profit, and start building your own brand. Pour that into the market instead of using it for whatever else you use it for. Build your brand so that you're in a position to pull from Zillow so that more business is coming in from your brand than is coming in from Zillow. And someday you can say, I would rather now take all the money I'm spending on Zillow and build my brand. I've been doing this my 50th year, as I said. I've never bought leads, ever, not one day in 50 years. And I have made a fortune building my brand. And to this day, I don't even advertise anymore. And I have more business coming in, constantly handing it out. It is a gold mine for you. So invest now. And I'll say this quick little story. When I was growing up, we moved to a little, my dad got to be successful in real estate. He was in it before me. And we moved to a new home, and he was so excited, and it had a barn, and it had an old-fashioned water pump in the backyard. You can picture the old-fashioned water pumps, Mike, So I go running out, I'm like 12 years old, I'm all excited, and I start cranking this water pump, and it's clankety, clankety, and no water comes out. So I run in the house, and I say, Dad, the water pump's broken. We got a house. He said, Greg, you got to prime the pump. You got to pour water in the top and do this. So I take a cup of water out and I pour it in and I prime it, and all of a sudden water starts coming out, and I run in and I say, Dad, yes, you're right, it works. And he said, Greg, I want you to never forget this the rest of your life. If you have to prime the pump, you have to make an investment if you expect a return, and then that return, just like a water pump, if you keep pumping, will keep coming the rest of your life. This is where agents are missing it. Yep. They're looking at a short-term fix, a short-term shot in the arm, rather than building their long-term brand.
So speaking my language. Absolutely.
There's my little spiel on that.
No,
Mike.
You're absolutely, like, agents have to decide if you want to run a business or be ran by one, and
when
you're relying on everything else, you're not really setting yourself up to ever actually own one. You'll always be run by your business, and you will eventually burn out.
Yes.
So let's finish up with this question, and this has been great. What can we do now? Like, how do we get, and what are your suggestions? How do we get, is the goal to get the data? Because obviously without the data, there's dead in the water, right? So is it to get the data, and isn't the data owned by the local MLSs?
The data is not as big a deal, in my opinion. That's easy. You can get IDX feeds. Anybody can get IDX feeds. Piece of cake. I've got a company that can give me every IDX feed of every MLS in the country and start it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So no worries there. What we need to do, and this is what we're building, and if Zillow's listening in, Spencer Raskoff, Rich Barton, you guys, here's the plan. So you can just get ready. So here's the plan. The big deal, guys, is a marketing play. Everybody thinks it's a tech play. I've had hundreds of calls from agents who said, hey, I got this platform, I got this tech play, we got this thing and all this. That's not even the big deal. What we need to do is build a brand that's first in the mind of the buyers. And I'm going to say that again. We need to build a brand that when people are thinking about buying a home, it's the first place they go before Zillow. We can do this. And let me tell you why. Investors will invest in us. Why? Because they know we still control the listings. They realize that if they invest in us and we build a better Zillow and we make it, we use their money to market this and make it first in minds of the buyers, then we will pull from Zillow. Why? Not even because we're mad, because it's in the best interest of our homeowners not to have pay for leads agents sitting next to our listings, to have us be the only one next to our listing. It'll be in our homeowners' best interest. We'll pull from Zillow, and all of a sudden we, 36 months from today, instead of being out of business, we will own the business that we have given away. We're going to take it back. And bottom line is, I have agreed. Nobody's paying me. I'm spending my own time, my own money. I'm going to devote a year of my life to trying to galvanize everybody. It isn't just me. Bring everybody together, get this thing funded, get it launched, and show everybody that we can do this. So there's the answer, Mike. It is building a better Zillow, and it's a marketing play, not a tech play.
So you would think that NAR would want, look at a platform like Zillow's not even profitable, correct? Technically,
I've heard that they're still not making money.
They're still not profitable, but the company's worth a certain amount of money.
$9 billion stock exchange value, I hear.
It's because they have an audience. You would think that NAR would put two and two together, like, oh my God, we have the opportunity to build a mega audience of homeowners across the United States, and we don't need to put dues anymore because they would monetize itself at that point.
Yes,
it's
I know.
So crazy, but that's how Washington works. So what do we suggest? I mean, what do we do from here? What are you going to do next? And we'll get this podcast wrapped up. I think we hammered it down. I think we got everything that agents need to know about this. This is a potential threat to our industry, guys. And I think the biggest threat is going to be the, how do I say it? It's not brainwashing. It's the it's the education of, hey, you don't need realtors anymore. Hey, you don't need realtors anymore. And I agree. I think that's going to have a lasting effect, because anytime the public can sense that they're going to save money, everything else goes out the window, right? Logical research, they're just going to say, save money. That's what that's what's going to sink in their head. And then we're going to have to re-educate them on how they're really not saving money.
Correct.
And that's going to be it's going to be a shit show.
Here's the plan. I mean, the plan. Here's a plan that I developed. I mean, what do I know? Except I'm busting my ass every day from 6 a.m. till midnight to try to make this happen. And this is not, I mean, I'm financially, let's say, very secure. And this is, I don't need to be doing this. I want to be doing this. I believe that somehow I got thrust into this through a confluence of events, and that this was maybe something that maybe I was destined to do and to help. And my dad started in real estate. So here's the thing. You want to go to an article I wrote called Zillow's Secret Plan. It's on LinkedIn. You can Google it. Just Zillow's Secret Plan. It'll come right up in Google. Zillow's Secret Plan. And it's a LinkedIn post. It's been up 8 days, and it has over 19,000 views in 8 days, just sitting on LinkedIn. It's one of the hottest articles on LinkedIn now. That is where I explain all the problems with Zillow, not just instant offer. And then at the bottom, you comment and just say, Greg, I want to help. We're putting together a leadership team, a national team of agents. And boy, look at the comments down there. There's hundreds of comments already, the people saying they're in. These are agents who, we don't want your money. We don't need your money. We want your thoughts, your ideas, and your time to help build this in your area, to get the website out. We're building the website. We're doing the securities offering. I'm writing checks to make all that happen.
You need the distribution.
And we just simply need the distribution. So go to Zillow's Secret Plan on LinkedIn, or just Google it. You'll see it. Go read it. Go down and comment and just say, I'm interested, or I'm in, or I'd like to help, and we'll be in touch.
Great. Well, Greg, thank you so much for the insight. Realtors, what can you say? I mean, competition is a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, but this is a different type of competition that I think that we've had to face in the past, because it has to deal with basically almost sort of throwing us under the bus, and maybe that, you don't need a realtor. They're freaking wasting money. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, that's sort of the impression I think that something like this is really creating. So thank you again for your insight on this and for everything you're doing. And, for our guests, please send Greg a message. Doing something like this doesn't happen without passion behind it. Like you said, you don't need to do this if you're doing it because you have passion behind it. So you guys please thank him for his service on this, because he's doing a lot of work that most people would never take on. And Greg, maybe this is your calling, right? So God bless you for everything you're doing. We do appreciate it. Why don't you go ahead and leave some closing thoughts? Go ahead and plug your website, show people where they could get involved, and we'll wrap this up.
Yep. Well, first of all, if you want to email me, it's Greg, Greg, at realestatemaverics.com, number one. Number two, I'm not going to plug my website. My website's a training website, realestatemaverics.com. Forget that. I don't have time right now to do that. I don't want your money. I'm being honest, so I'm not plugging my website. Yeah. I just don't have time. I'm sorry.
Your Zillow site. What is Stop
Zillow? So stopzillow.com,
Yep.
Sign the petition, go over to Zillow's Secret Plan on LinkedIn. If you'd like to help further, just comment at the bottom. And that's all I really have. I mean, there's nothing I want to plug other than I really, honestly, truly, from the bottom of my heart, believe if we don't take action now while we control the listings, we're not going to have the opportunity to do that in 36 months.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that. All right, folks, you heard it from the man behind the Stop Zillow movement. This gentleman knows what he's doing. Look, he's got 50 years of freaking experience, all right?
So, I wish you had. You didn't have to remind everybody of that.
Yeah, I'm just joking. Greg, thank you so much. You're a class act. We appreciate everything you're doing. And all of you know where to find us. Tune in next week. We got a couple of really exciting shows. What Greg said is true, man. You got to build your own brand. Why would you run a business without creating one? You know, you want to be a transactional broker, go right ahead. But if you want to play the long game in real estate, that involves building a brand and running a business eventually. Otherwise, you're always going to be ran by it, and you're never going to get to the next level. Trust me. I've seen this happen time and time again. You know where to find me, folks. realestatemarketingdude.com. Thanks again for listening, and tune in next week for another episode. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.